Time now for Jeffrey's 5 European cars that can now be sold in the United States.
All right. Well, it's that time of year. And what we have, some of these brilliant European used cars, Conrad, from the 1990s can now legally be imported to the United States.
If we wanted to.
Right. These are now 25 years or older and can be legally imported. United States has enthusiasts here, and we've never experienced those kind of cars on our streets.
What we would call gray market cars.
Whatever. But this first one is an Audi RS2 Avant. It's one of the most legendary Audi models of all time.
So the RS2 Avant or Avante?
Avant is always credited for making a big deal out of the fast station wagon idea. I love it. It ended up working perfectly, and everyone wants one of these. I know I do. If those wheels and mirrors look familiar on that photo, that's because the car was assembled in collaboration with Porsche. While the components of this car were almost entirely Audi, Porsche took care of the assembly in the same factory as a Mercedes 500e and the Porsche 959 were built in that factory. With the 2.2-liter turbo 5-pot, which means piston in your neck of the woods, Mike, and the Quattro all-wheel drive and the RS2 Avant was to be messed
that for a long time.
I know. Don't mess with it, is what they're saying. Don't touch it, is what Mike would say. So that's that Avant. The next one we have here, which is very cool, it's a Fiat Coupe 20V or 20V 20V Turbo. How about owning a compact, cool-looking mini Ferrari? The Fiat Coupe, though it has designs that sometimes divided opinions, was definitely very distinctive and unique.
Yuck.
I like the car.
Yuck.
In 1995, Fiat offered a turbocharged 20V inline 5 powertrain with the respectable 220 horsepower, equipped with a 6-speed manual transmission. This car could do 155 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds, which can put an MK7 Golf GTI to shame. It doesn't matter because I don't like that car. Not only that, but for the Fiat, it's relatively reliable and not too difficult to work on. And they are also very cheap.
Relatively reliable.
Relatively reliable. I didn't write it. I just read it. Okay, this next one's a very pretty car. I like it. Turning the page. Alfa Romeo GTV. The final generation Alfa Romeo GTV. Now, these can be imported, so if you want one, get in line. Yeah, no. Definitely had a unique exterior design.
It'd be a short line.
We think it looks beautiful, but not everyone did. I kind of like it. I like that little nose on the front there. The very earliest GTV models can now be imported to the United States. The same goes for the Spider, which is in the same genre.
Looks like it's got a mustache.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the earlier models had a highly desirable Busso V6 engine.
Busso.
Oh,
Busso.
I think Conrad would know what that is. I don't. Despite only making 100...
It's kind of like their AMG version.
I see. Busso.
Performance. So despite only making 192 horsepower, it still had a respectable performance of 7.3 seconds in a 0 to 60 time, top speed of 140 mph.
Yeah, really... And a Tesla Plaid will whip its behind.
No doubt.
The next one is a TVR Cimarera. Sadly, the most recent and crazier TVR models are currently out of reach, but the Cimarera is definitely a worthy contender.
Needs to come with its own electrician.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
There's some reliability and maintenance concerns with this car, like you said.
Some.
But it's one of the best TVRs they made. The early ones are legal to import and have been for a while, but as this year, the latest versions tote a 4.3-liter V8, can also be imported with the vehicle. 4.3-liter has 284 horsepower and a 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, which is a little bit quicker than the other model. And the last one, my favorite, is the Jaguar XJ220. Admittedly, is one of the most pricier of the cars that you can import.
That's pretty. Why don't they make that today?
Well, it didn't go over back 25 years ago.
Yeah, they only made a few of them when they did.
It's worth taking a look at. It's infamous for not being able to deliver on his promises. The Jag XJ220 was Jag's definitive supercar back in the 90s. For a short while, it was one of the fastest cars in the world, achieving 217 miles per hour.
Twin turbo V6.
Surprisingly,
check
the
engine light is
speed
on
was
all the time.
Thanks, yeah, Jag. Thanks. Oh, I got it. thanks to part to a turbocharged V6 right out of the MG Metro 6R4 rally car. So it was actually a racing engine. The XJ220 was a rear-wheel drive, used a 5-speed transmission. Absolutely massive vehicle. Prices are starting to creep up, so get one.
And it didn't
while
have a damn
you can.
dipstick
How
in
much
it either.
was it?
It doesn't say.
Oh.
million.
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering why. Well, I mean, because it's a nice looking car, and wondering why it didn't sell.
Well, I
Well-
remember we did that remote from Sphere one time, and they had one of those in the shop, and they actually think they had the engine out of the back
Really?
of it. Yep.
A lot of it
I
has
missed that.
to do with emissions as well.
Yes, exactly. That's why you don't see any of those little 4-cylinder trucks that are popular in Europe coming here
Mhm.
because they can't pass emissions.
Yep.
Well, and
Crash tests.
so much of those are diesels anyhow.
But those are the 5. There's more. I just selected those 5.
Well, I thank you for that.
That
Because it was
Jag,
very,
is cool. That Jag is cool, though.
Yeah,
it
it is.
very is. But I guarantee you the damn check engine lights on.
And try changing the cabin filter.